You know the moment when you write out all of your anticipated releases for the year and you think to yourself, I'm going to read these immediately the second they come out, and then you forget about them for 5 months straight? That's the vibe today. Hi besties, it's Annie, your Bookish Chaos coordinator, and welcome back to the cozy chaos of reading with me. Emphasis on the chaos today because I totally forgot that these books released, and well, they just arrived in the post because I finally got around to ordering them, so we need to get on and read them. Keeping it chill, and we're keeping it cozy with these 3 books today. We've got Temple of Swoon by Segura. This kind of follows on from her one that I read at the very beginning of 2024, so we've kind of got a little adventure-y romance here. We've got The Charlie Method by Elle Kennedy, which is the 3rd book in the Campus Diary series, and we have 2 male main characters here, as well as our main girlie. And then we have Deep End by Elle Hazelwood, which is a swimmer and a diver college sports romance, and swimming / diving is not a sport I've read before. This isn't a challenge or a trope trials of video today. This is a chill kickback with some tea, some good books, and real talk as to whether these are actually worth the wait. Comment down below if you've got any 2025 releases that you've either read or are they still sat on your TBR gathering dust, because let's be honest, that is the real tea here. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when the next video goes live, but let's go get our tea, get comfy, and get into these books today. Honestly, I'm really excited to start with The Charlie Method because I have been kind of desperately wanting to read this book, and yet I somehow forgot that this was actually releasing in the first half of this year. For some reason, my brain was trying to convince me that this doesn't come out till like November. I don't know why, because this has been out for a hot minute. In this book, we're following Charlotte, Will, and Beckett, and we've kind of had a little bit of interaction with Will and Beckett in the previous books where there's been kind of discussions and speculations that they tend to take girls home together. And we had a very nice scene in the Dixon Rule where Will was not necessarily involved, but he didn't exactly walk away. So I am very excited for this book. I'm really excited to return to university with these team. Will and Beckett are also on the hockey team, so I'm really hoping that we get a bit more hockey in this one, because book 2 was set kind of more through the summer, so we got a little bit more of Diana's kind of dancing thing, but this one I think is going to be more hockey. We've got this beautiful character art in the cover here. I am really here for this, and we've got a little note from Elle that says, "Dear reader, so what's better than one hot hockey player who wants to rock your world? How about 2? I hope you're ready for Will and Beckett. Charlie sure is." I am really excited for this, but I've got to read you guys this dedication. It says, "This book is for all the people who are really bad at making decisions." Hi. The state of my TBR, I think, just reaffirms I'm very bad at making decisions. So this book is going to be a vibe. I have a feeling this book is going to be a vibe. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get comfy, besties, and let's start reading, and I'll see y'all at 50%. Let's backtrack a hot minute because I forgot to read you guys the synopsis of this book. Whatever this is with Charlie, with all 3 of us, we'll figure it out as we go. Charlotte Kingston is living 2 lives, and she's nailing both of them. Day by day, she's the perfect sorority girl, a biomedical engineering student, and the adopted daughter of an overachiever family. At night, she's Charlie, a daredevil who finds herself chatting on a dating app with 2 anonymous hotties. Will Larson may seem like the breezy boy next door, but his congressman father is a constant thorn in his side. After scandal hits another hockey team, Will's dad is determined to distance his son from it, hiring a journalist to prove how squeaky clean the team are, which means the last thing Will wants is anyone to find out that he and his best friend Beckett Doone, a laid-back Aussie shielding secret heartache, sometimes share girls in the bedroom. When Charlie finally realizes she's been chatting with 2 gorgeous Briar U hockey players, things get steamy fast, but life soon threatens to shatter the fantasy. With Charlie, Will, and Beckett all coming to terms with what they want and what others want for them, difficult decisions need to be made, especially when lust starts to look a lot like love. Morning besties. I guess we stayed up way too late reading last night. I'm usually like a 10 p.m. bedtime, 10:01 I'm dead asleep, and it was 12:30 last night, which I know isn't like late to some people, but for me that is way late. I'm living, breathing, dying for this book. I am 53% of the way through already. This is a 5 chilies. Like, this is maxed out its chili rating. This is spicy. If you're not here for like an uber spicy book, this is probably not the one, but I think because it is so chunky, you can kind of get away with it a little bit, because like we're still getting loads and loads of character development from primarily Charlotte, granted, but we are still seeing like a little bit from both of the guys. And I think one of the biggest things I'm really loving about this is it's not Charlotte and Will and then Charlotte and Beckett and Will and Beckett. It's kind of all three of them in this melting pot. It's very much giving all or nothing vibes, and I really love that with them. So if it wasn't evident already, I am eating this up. I'm absolutely obsessed. I am. This is really prepping to be a 5-star. I think it would have to go very wrong from here for me to like not rate it 5-star. So I'm currently at page 276. We're still really not quite there with them yet. Like, yes, they have, you know, spent the night together and this, that and the other, but they're not really at that point where you could really say like, oh, they're in a relationship. Like, they're still messing about at this point. But the fact that it's 270 odd pages in a regular size book, you'd be like, oh, okay, so we've got like maybe 50 to 100 pages left, dependent. I'm only 53% of the way through, so I've still got a way to go. And honestly, I'm kind of glad about that, because I think if it was any shorter, then, you know, we just wouldn't really get the same development, especially from Charlotte. She's the one who's really kind of going through a lot of this development. She's kind of struggling with the idea of this throuple situation. She's also dealing with a lot of other stuff, which I'm not going to spoil for you guys, because actually I think the journey that she's on is just like really beautiful in itself. The only thing I would say I'm kind of missing right now is a little bit more hockey. We've seen a little bit of it at the beginning, and I think that kind of plays further into Will and Beckett's storyline, because I feel like because they're so attached to the hip and they do so much together, their kind of storyline is a singular entity, if that makes sense, because they're both on the team and I think they're the only people that live in this house, right? It's just the two of them. So I'm really hoping that we get a little bit more hockey from this later in the book. I would say that's like literally my only complaint right now, and a little bit of a complaint about the fact that I'm really tired today. But that's what I get for staying up until 12:30 in the morning. Pretty much my sole intention today is to absolutely devour the rest of this book, to have a really fun time, and that is all. Good morning, besties. I just finished The Charlie Method by Elle Kennedy, and I've given it 4.5 stars, but it definitely gets 5 chilies. Throughout this entire book, I think one of the biggest things that I loved about it is the fact that the dynamic between Charlie, Will and Beckett, it's like they are just like one cohesive unit, and you really feel that through the entire book. Like, for the whole thing, I couldn't imagine her picking one, or one of them being just the guy and not having the other one. It just like doesn't really make sense. And that's why the ending just like really threw me for a loop. I'm not spoiling it, Don't worry, besties. It made sense. I just didn't like it. There's like there's a lot that goes down in this book. And I think in the second half of it, you see a lot more development from both Beckett and Will. Not necessarily because they want to be going through development, not necessarily because they're like, oh, let me choose to better myself. It's kind of thrust upon them. Whereas Charlie continually actively chooses to move towards a life that she really wants to lead and a life that really serves her, and I love that for her. That's such a vibe, honestly. I get why people made decisions they made. I'm not happy about it. I understand it. I just think that maybe if they'd have made a slightly different decision, it would have been a little bit more satisfying. The ending fell a little bit flat for me. I mean, it didn't really go quite the way I wanted it to until like 3 pages to the end, really. And I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, so I'm not really going to go into like a huge amount of detail, but whilst I may objectively understand why certain characters did certain things, subjectively, I'm not happy about it. But I still love them as a trio. I think they are amazing. I really, really love their story. And I kind of don't really hate the fact that there wasn't a huge amount of hockey in this, because it felt more focused on their relationship with each other and kind of how they deal with that and deal with the external factors that are impacting on that, rather than it being a hockey college romance. Does that make sense, besties? Well, I hope it does, because we are moving swiftly on. So I think we're going to go with Temple of Swoon, which is a lot smaller. I think the Charlie Method was just over 500 pages, whereas this is 343. I'm gonna spin through this so quickly, just watch me. Her mission, find the lost city of the moon in the Amazon rainforest. His mission, protect the holy temple and his heart. When archaeologist Dr. Miriam Jacobs is charged with leading an unmapped expedition through the Amazon to discover the fabled lost city of the moon, she finally has her chance to prove to her colleagues that she's capable, and hopefully prove it to herself too. Journalist Raphael Monfils has joined the archaeological team to chronicle their search for the lost city, or at least that's what they think he's doing. Rafa's real goal? Make sure the team does not reach the Cida de Lua, stopping the desecration of the holy city and protecting his mother's legacy. All he needs to do is keep them on the wrong path. If only the endearingly Dr. Jacobs wasn't so damn tenacious. Each of Rafa's tricks and purposeful wrong turns only seem to fuel her determination. Even worse, he's charmed by Mary Scoopy's attempt to channel Lara Croft as they traverse the Brazilian rainforest. But they're not the only crew hunting for the lost city, and soon the untamed jungle and their untamed hearts might be the least of their worries. I think I rated Raiders of the Lost Heart 5 stars at the beginning of 2024, and honestly I have pretty high hopes for this because it was funny, it was cutesy, it was just a good time. There was a few things that was like, okay, gloss quickly over, just like don't think too hard about it. So honestly, to just kick back and vibe, I'm kind of here for this. Also, I love this chapter art that we've got. Each of these chapters has this really cute kind of jungly aesthetic vibe to it, and I'm living. Okay, besties, honestly, I was reading Temple of Swoon in between doing all of my tasky bits through the day, so I didn't really get to record much of it. And honestly, I'm actually only at page 38, and I'm gonna soft DNF it, just because Miri is very much like a soft girly. She's not very like confident in herself at the moment, and I can see where it's gonna go, and she's gonna like gain her confidence. And I feel like maybe Rafa is gonna have his own development story, because I feel like he's not necessarily like jaded to the world, but he's got this idea in his head of how things are gonna go, and I feel like that's gonna be completely flipped and completely changed to be totally honest, Miri as a main character is not really who I'm vibing with at the moment. And if you guys watched my most recent wrap up monthly reset, which I will link in the description down below, then you will know that I'm not feeling super tolerant of stuff at the moment. I am DNFing books left, right and center. Now this isn't one I'm necessarily going to get rid of. I feel like if it's the right time, I would absolutely come back to this, and that's what I intend to do. So I'm going to change out this bookmark for a post-it note in a minute, and it's going to go back on the TBR card because I will come back to it at some point. It's just she's not really the right character for me right now, and I want to give her the space and time to be the right character, you know? So let's go diving into the deep end. I'm a little bit nervous about this, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys. People have not held back on their opinions of this online, and because this has been on my anticipated reads list, I've been trying to stay away from other people's opinions of this, but it has been dang near impossible. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, I really have loved everything Elle Hazelwood has written but this book. People are saying that this has been like a huge disappointment. They were really just like expecting more, so I'm really nervous of this. To be honest, I mean, I read the blurb and I'm excited. Swimming and diving is not something I've read before. It's not a sport that I know a huge amount about. And I have loved everything that Elle Hazelwood has written so far. Pretty much everything apart from those short stories, which is more of a short story thing than an Elle Hazelwood thing. I don't know what it is about Elle Hazelwood, but I can never say her character's surnames. Scarlett is swimming upstream, a junior at Stanford and a student athlete who specialises in platform diving. Scarlett prefers to keep her head down, concentrating on getting into med school and on recovering from the injury that almost ended her career. She has no time for relationships. At least that's what she tells herself. Swim captain, world champion, and all-around aquatics golden boy Lucas thrives on discipline. It's how he wins gold medals and breaks records. Complete focus with every stroke. On the surface, Lucas and Scarlett have nothing in common until a well-guarded secret slips out and everything changes. So they start an arrangement, and the pressure leading to the Olympics heats up, so does their relationship. It was supposed to be just a temporary, mutually satisfying fling, but when staying away from Lucas becomes impossible, Scarlett realises that her heart might be treading into dangerous water. Guess who got to 50% last night? Guess who's having an absolutely amazing time with this? If you guessed me, you are so good at this game. But in all seriousness, I am up to chapter, what is this? Chapter 36. I am living. I can kind of a little bit understand why not everyone is necessarily loving this. There is some spicy stuff going on. Not necessarily like they're laying in bed together kind of vibe, but more just like the context around it, the conversations, just kind of the way that they are checking in with each other, making sure that what they're wanting is really aligned. And actually, I really love that. I love the way that he's like, I want to make sure that we are on the same page. He's like, here's a piece of paper with like a tick list. Fill out the boxes, fill out this form basically, and then let me know when you're done. They then just like deal with everything. I kind of love that because it's definitely a way of doing it, but also it's a way of them both being able to really like check in with themselves and acknowledge what they want without having the pressure of the other person, without having the pressure of like in the middle love a conversation trying to go through it. So actually, I kind of like it. I kind of appreciate it. Like, as an introvert myself, I'm like, I can appreciate that as a system for communication. You guys know my stance on sports romance. There has to be a significant sport input in this, and there is. And I love it. Did Elle Hazelwood just like listen to my videos and write this book? Because she might very well have done, because there is so much diving in this. Like, I feel like I'm learning so much about this sport that I knew existed, but I've never like particularly had any interest in, and I'm loving it. And it's just like mixed in really nicely with the STEM side of it, because obviously Lucas and Scarlett both have like a significant interest in STEM. They both want to be medical doctors. Just these like little extra, I guess, extracurricular bit. Although it feels like more the main education is the extracurricular, the diving is like the main part of like who they are and where they spend their most time. And then, you know, they have their joint extracurricular. Like, they've got a packed schedule. I will say that. There is parts of both of their characters that really make them feel very human, in the sense of they make mistakes and they don't necessarily apologize for making mistakes, because they're like, that's just who I am. Like, I am a human being, I make mistakes, but also this is something that I repeatedly do because it gives me some kind of way of like experiencing life. This is just something I do, and I'm not going to necessarily apologize for it. I understand that it's probably not a healthy way to, you know, emotionally live life, but it's just something that I do. I kind of get it a little bit. It's that major imperfection that doesn't actually really scream red flag to me. It screams, I am a human being. And honestly, that's kind of what I love in books, and I think that's why I like specifically character-centered books, is getting that kind of human feeling from the characters. I love it. Also, y'all didn't think that I was gonna absolutely scream, die, cry about the fact that Adam Carlson and Olive Smith are in this book. Like, what? This is the crossover I didn't see coming. It's the crossover I am obsessed with. Like, I'm living for it. So I've got some bits and pieces to do today, but you can bet that I am going to absolutely be storming through the latter half of this book. I am loving it. I am eating it up. I'm loving them individually. I'm loving them as a pair. I think they're only going to grow stronger as a pair. Besties, I finished it. I can totally understand why people don't like this book, but honestly, I really did enjoy it. I'm gonna give it a 4-star. I don't think I can really give it any higher, just because in the middle it got kind of messy and I was kind of like losing track of like what was even happening, to be totally honest with you. Just as a little spoiler, because I don't think I can actually finish this video without mentioning one thing about this. So if you would like to avoid this spoiler, please skip along to the end of this little bar down at the bottom. This will tell you where the spoiler is, okay? You gone? The rest of you that is still here, you're here for the spoiler? Okay. I had a feeling about Penn from the start, because I don't trust super sugary people. Honestly, there is a thing as being too nice, and there was a little niggle in the back of my little brain. There was like one brain cell that clocked in for work and was like, oh, excuse me? Who do you think you are? And I knew, and I screamed and I growled and I grumbled, and I may have blown everyone's ears out on Discord as I was like, I knew it! But End of spoiler. A lot goes down in this book. And like I said, I can understand why people may not love it. There's a lot of things that they keep very surface level, and there's a lot of things that they keep very like factual rather than feeling. And honestly, I kind of like it. I think I do. It's different for sure. I mean, I can kind of see why some people think that he's a red flag, but at the same time, I think it's less of him being a red flag and more that's just the nature of their relationship. I don't genuinely believe that Lucas is a toxic person. I genuinely just think that's just the way his brain operates, and everyone's a little bit different. And honestly, I see nothing wrong with their relationship, and I'm just gonna leave that there. I'm just gonna put it out there, and people are gonna have to deal with it. But I now get to put this right up in here with the rest of the Elle Hazelwood books. Oh, and that is a wrap on today's Cozy Chaos catch up. Honestly, I'm so glad that I managed to finally get to these books. As I have been going through the year, I have been getting to my Kindle picks a lot easier, but then statistically, I have been reading a lot more on my Kindle. But I do want to know, are any of these books now on your TBR, or have you read them already? Sound off in the comments down below, DM me on Instagram if you guys want to talk about it, because you know I do. Also, never forget to give your girlie some recs down in the comments, because you guys know I will eat up all of the romance books this summer. I want some more romantasy. I definitely want some more sports romance. That was definitely last year's vibe, but I don't think it's necessarily leaving anytime soon. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button on this video, as well as ring that notification bell so that you know when my next video goes live, because you know that YouTube isn't telling everyone correctly these days when people are actually posting. So do yourself a favor, ring that bell. All of my links are down in the description below, as well as the link to my Fable book club. If you do go and check it out, just know I have already read the book at this precise moment in time. You can post in every single chapter, you can post in like your little thoughts, and nearly every chapter has a fun little comment from me. So go hang out over on the Fable book club, respond to some of my comments as you read the book. It's such a fun, cutesy time. But I hope you have an absolutely amazing Cozy Chaos day, and your next read is a 5-star. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!